talking about cats in trees.
News report. Cat stuck in tree. Angus and Ringwraith to the rescue. Woo! Hi again. This is going to be another lighter side of Angus. First lighter side I've done with guests. We got Ringwraith. Woohoo! Kitty.
Hello.
And Odie.
Hi.
Odie was not directly involved in the kitty rescue. Last night, me and Vicky were getting ready to... actually, I had just gotten home from work, and I thought I had heard a cat distress call. But then I heard the dogs whining and yelping. I figured, oh, okay, I just misheard that. Me and Vicky, about 30 minutes later, getting ready to go to the store, walk out, and I hear... Meow, meow. And I'm like, oh, God, that sounds like a cat in distress. Well, the only cat that was still outside was Dart. It was pitch black outside. So I grab a flashlight, which was going dead at the time. We're calling for him. And sure enough, Dart is in a tree for the second time.
Well, the ironic thing is yet again, it was me who came and got him out.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, oh, God. And it's like, it's Friday night. They might all be at freaking B-dubs by now. Because it was getting close to 8 o'clock, I think, when I called you.
It was.
Because I had talked to Odie shortly before that about something.
Yeah, well, you called me looking for Ringwraith.
Yeah, I called you looking for... No, we had talked earlier that day about the rant stuff not coming through.
Well, right, and then you called me back trying to see if I had gotten a hold of him because you couldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't get a hold of him, and then you said you'd gotten a hold of Kitty.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'll just call Kitty. Well, I call Kitty, and you answer. Wraith answered the phone.
Because I was just recovering from one of my worst migraines, one of those I'm about to throw up migraines.
And the only vehicle that Tommy had at his disposal at the time was the cable truck, and his boss was out and about in town. And if Ringwraith got caught with his cable truck out and about, he could lose his job.
Which would have been bad.
Bob Dole was nowhere to be found.
He was after me.
And he
was coming to get me.
Yeah, that's right. He was coming to get you. He was not in his truck. He was in his car. And the only other person that had a ladder was Pig. And we couldn't. He was still at work.
Side note, the reason that it took Bob Dole so long was because he was dealing with a situation with a certain jackass that we all want to see get pummeled.
Yes, we just love this guy to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was taking care of that issue. And then I told Ringwraith, is like, hey, if your boss is out and about, I know, it might be late, but, once he maybe goes back to the store and you can safely be on the road with your truck so you don't get fired for anybody seeing you, can you come on over? Not more than 15 minutes later, you would already call me and say, hey, I'm on my way. And I'm like, oh, dear, thank God.
Yeah, Kitty was finally feeling better. I was like, hey, you want to go to Angus's place? And she's like, sure. Because I'm like... We've got to go get Dart out of this tree. It's supposed to get below freezing tonight. We can't have Angus lose another cat.
Yeah, because within the past 5 years, I have lost 4 cats. Either due to death or they just disappeared.
And I couldn't have that anymore, so I'm just like, you know what? Vinagoni can suck my left testicle, so we're just, we're going to go get a cat out of a tree.
So, he finally comes over. And I was trying to coax him down because he was in this one tree that actually had a decent number of limbs, which was right next to another tree that was growing into the limb, or next to the limb he was on, which had a lot of limbs, which he could have easily scaled down. I've seen him do more agile tricks in the trailer than he would have had to have done on this tree, but he was scared.
Yeah.
The problem was... where we had to put the ladder and go up the tree was on the opposite side of where the limb was. And it was a pretty decent sized tree.
Yeah, and plus it was a good distance from where he was actually sitting.
Yeah, he was sitting a good 10 feet away from the trunk. This was a pretty long limb. And he wouldn't come to... Ringwraith went up the ladder first because he's more comfortable with ladders than I am, because you do that on a daily basis for your job. Safety gear wouldn't even fit around the tree.
Yeah, tried that. That didn't work.
Couldn't get him to come to us to even try to grab it.
Both of us just tried calling him, trying to coax him down. At one point, he got closer and was kind of coming our way, and then he stopped and kind of hunched down like he wasn't going to go anywhere, and kept trying to coax him to walk down the limb, which he could have done easily. He had already done it once before.
Yeah,
before I'd even gotten there.
Yeah, I was leading him with the flashlight, saying, "Hey, follow the light," and he was following it because he could see where to step because it was dark, no moonlight at all. And I eventually got him to the trunk where there was another limb lower that it was about a foot lower and within cat length. I mean, he could have just stepped over to this limb that was lower and dropped down a little bit further, which would have made it a heck of a lot easier on us.
Yeah.
Once we got the ladder up there, but it wasn't working. I actually went up the ladder. That didn't last very long.
Still couldn't coax him down the ladder.
Still couldn't coax him down with me. I started having a panic attack because I have a phobia of ladders.
He comes back down. I start, looking at the branch, saying, "There's got to be somewhere else on this limb I can prop the ladder up so I can get closer to it." And I'm looking, and there's this one spot on the limb where it flattens out enough. I probably could have gotten my ladder on there, and it'd be stable enough for me to climb up there. The only bad thing is that spot was right where Dart was sitting.
Yeah.
If I'd have thrown my ladder up there,
Several things could have happened.
Several things could have happened. The worst being, I could have hit Dart and either knocked him off or scared him further up the tree, further out the limb, making it even more difficult to coax him down. And both me and Heath are just trying to rack our brains of what we can do to try and get him down.
Because he's a good, he was 20 feet up? Maybe 25?
20, yeah, well, probably about 20 feet, yeah.
Yeah, because your ladder was not fully extended.
No, by no means.
Because the last time we got him out of the tree, you had to pretty much fully extend your ladder to get up to it.
Yeah, he was probably about 18 to 20 feet.
Yeah. But the way this tree was made, he could have gone at least a good 50 feet up. This was a tall tree.
Yeah.
And there would have been no way. That would have been calling the fire department with a bucket to come get him, and that would have not been cheap.
They don't do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore. Well, then Dart would have just been screwed.
Like when my oldest cat Katie got stuck up a tree, we had to call a tree specialist to come get her twice because
That
she
wasn't
was
cheap.
Yeah,
stuck
that's
up in the top of it.
yeah. Tree specialist coming out is going to run you a good chunk of change.
Then he had to come out from Tuscaloosa.
Oh dear God!
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an expensive paycheck, or well, it was a good paycheck for him, just having to get a cat out of a tree. Did they have to use the bucket?
He went up that tree with some sort of like.
He gaffed it.
Yeah.
Had the foot spikes.
Yep.
Yeah, he gaffed it. That's a common thing in my industry. You have this guy put on a safety belt, and he's got these basically foot spikes, and they just spike up the tree or up the pole. I'd like to learn how to do it, but it's not the easiest thing to do. It can be kind of painful.
Yeah, he gaffed the tree, put her in a bag, and then lowered her.
Yeah, you pretty much put it when the way we actually got him down is my wife had finally gotten home from the store because I told her to go ahead and go to the store without me because it was going to be a while we're trying to get this cat out of a tree because she needed her breakfast stuff for the weekend. And when she got back, we went out one last time, and I was having to steady the ladder. Ringwraith went back up, and she started calling. As soon as she started calling him, he started working his way down the limb.
He walked right back down the branch. The hardest part was he got down to the crook of the branch where it connected to the trunk, and yet again, the ladder's on the sort of the opposite side of where this branch is. And I'm trying to reach around with one hand and grab him by the scruff and just pick him up. But his claws are just fucking embedded in this tree. So I could not lift him up with one hand. So I kind of had to contort and reached both hands around to grab him and had to kind of yank him because he just did not want to let go of this tree. Finally got him and, pretty much bear hugged him to my chest with one arm.
And I saw him reach back out after you got him to your side of the tree. He was still trying to grab a hold of the tree.
Yeah.
And I could hear bark scraping, and I'm like, oh dear God. Once you finally got to turn around, I was afraid those claws were going into you.
They almost did. He almost clawed my ear, but he didn't.
Yeah, because
But finally, as soon as I got him, he was turned around facing me, and it was, I had a good grip on him. Started coming down the ladder. He seemed okay.
Yeah, once you started getting him back down, he was okay. Now, he was still making a ruckus.
Yeah.
He was not a happy cat.
Well, understandably so.
There's no because he'd only been outside approximately 3 hours when we found him in the tree, because my wife had let him out after she'd gotten home from the chiropractor. So he'd only been outside 2 to 3 hours before he got stuck in the tree. I don't know if he was chasing a squirrel, or the neighbor's dogs chased him up, or what.
Or it could have been, the coyotes.
The coyotes have been running here lately, so it could have been the coyotes.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's another reason I try to get them in at night, is because of the coyotes and the raccoons and the possums and everything like that.
Yeah.
But they get these wild hares where they will not come inside no matter what you do, and I can't catch him. He's too damn quick.
Yeah. But thankfully we did get him down by the hardest.
Yeah, and then since that kind of screwed up because you originally were maybe going to B-Dubs
Yeah.
and hanging out with Kitty, and you guys were going to do some stuff, and then you're hanging out at my house, and no one's had any dinner at this point.
No.
So we're all...
I mean, it took us probably, an hour
total,
if not more, just trying to figure out what the hell to do to get Dart out of this fucking tree. Which, it was so much easier the first time he got stuck in a tree. I threw my ladder up there, climbed up, and there he is, within arm's reach. I grab him, throw him on my shoulder, and I come right down.
Throw him in the box, we carry him back through the woods. The only hard part about that was traipsing through the woods to get to the tree.
Yeah, which was no problem for me. I'm used to, traipsing through underbrush to get to a pole.
Yeah, luckily, the tree placement in this one was right behind my shed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good, 30 to 40 yards from my front porch.
Yeah.
He was right there.
I mean, I pulled my truck, backed it up in the spot that I always park, and loaded the ladder, walked maybe 20 feet, threw it on the tree.
Yeah. So where he was at was not far from the house. It was just the placement of where the limb was versus the slope it's on, because there was a nasty slope on the other side.
There was a nasty slope, and there was enough underbrush and another tree that I couldn't get my ladder right where I needed it.
Yeah. And also there was the what was left over of a surge box that was attached to a trailer that used to be parked there, that they just left in the grass. It's in the mulch and underneath dirt and buried.
Mm-hmm.
And then that random tree we had to stand on.
Yeah, there was little brush trees and everything everywhere. Now, Kitty had the bright idea. It was like, well, I could climb up there and get out on the limb, and both me and Wraith unanimously said, no.
Of course, there's also at one point, Kitty was like, well, I could go up the ladder and try and convince, and I'm looking at her like, hell no, you are not climbing up that ladder.
No. Because
no.
The ladder was very, very rickety.
Not rickety.
Not rickety.
It was just unstable, because
it was wobbly.
It was wobbly. It wasn't the flattest piece of ground for it to be sat on, and plus the way the tree was, and plus I still had my hooks out.
Yeah.
If I'd have folded my hooks in, it would have been more stable, but I always forget that, because I'm so used to throwing it up there and actually hooking the line.
Yeah. But
if I put it on a pole, the pole sits right between the hooks.
Yeah, and problem is, this tree was bigger than a pole, and there was no line.
No. Had there been a branch that was, just smaller than the hooks, I'd have done that, but no.
See, my idea came from, I used to climb trees all the time when I was little. All the time. That was my hobby, because, my actual brother is an Eagle Scout, and I would always go off with him on his little things, and we'd climb trees.
Well, see, my thing is I climb a ladder for a living.
See,
I do it, and I know how to do it safely. Don't really want anyone else doing it.
Yeah, and my thing with ladders.
I was surprised. I wasn't really comfortable with you going up, but considering the direness of the situation, the fact that we couldn't get him to it.
Yeah, because at first you didn't want me to go up at all. I'm like, dude, it's my cat. I think I can handle it for a little bit. And I was up there for a good 2 minutes before it started.
Minutes, yeah,
before
and
it really got in me. But
gotta come down.
By the time I got back down, I was shaking like a leaf. My heart was racing. I have a phobia for ladders, but I rock climb. I climb trees. I rappel. I do the little rock climb things in the malls all the time, and most of the time when I rock climb, like at Mount Cheon and stuff, I don't use a freaking rope. I don't understand. I can do all that, but I can't stay on a ladder for more than just like a few seconds without like having a heart attack.
It's a piece of equipment you have to trust, and you're not comfortable with that.
Well, it's because I've had a ladder fall on me. I had one of those A ladders one time at a job, and it freaking collapsed and went out, and I fell it was a good 10 feet, and I mean, I couldn't do anything but fall straight down onto the ladder. There was no warning, it was just collapse, and I'm falling. And so ever since then, I've been kind of nervous about getting on ladders.
Yeah. I'm surprised Daniel's not more nervous about getting on ladder, because he's fallen off his ladders countless times.
Yeah. Well, he's just crazy, though.
True.
Yeah.
But that's really I don't have a problem with heights. It's just I have a problem with ladders.
I only have a problem with unstable heights.
Well, I have a problem with heights if it's really, really high. Like I'm like 20 or 30 stories up in a high rise, like looking over the balcony. Then I'll get freaking vertigo.
That doesn't bother me at all.
But that kind of stuff bothers me. But ladders in general,
I used to be real nervous up on the top of the ladder because it's so unstable. But now, I can scurry up and down the ladder like nothing.
Yeah.
Now that's what happens when you do it 3 and 5 times a day.
I got better at it because of goodies. I was always having to go up and down ladders for banners, signs, all that kind of stuff. So I had to get over that. Otherwise, I was going to be in trouble at my job. It's like, dude, I've got to do something. So I tried to conquer my fear, but it still gets to me. It gets to me bad.
I learned to trust my safety gear and my ladder when I first started in the cable business, because I went up the ladder and wrapped my safety lanyard around the actual line, the cable line across the poles, and then stepped off the ladder. I wasn't even on the ladder. I was sitting there hanging from my safety gear. And when you do that and you realize how safe you are,
after that it was nothing.
You're
like, I'm safe. I'm not going to fall. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's how I was when I did high ropes at camp.
You had like the safety nets and stuff like that.
Well, we didn't have safety nets. We had harnesses.
Oh, okay. So if you fall, the harness will catch you. But yeah, we wanted to, since I had everybody here, Odie's just kind of sitting here on the floor. He's the lump on the floor because he didn't have anything major to do with the actual kitty rescue. We actually went and got him today and was palling around, came over here, did some sparring. But we're running long on this one. So we might, if they decide to stick here a little bit more, you might hear more about the sparring. But for right now, this is enough of the kitty rescue of Dart Take
Part 2.
Needless to say, he is grounded.
Oh yeah, he's not going outside for I don't know how long. He is grounded for an indeterminate amount of time.
Both literally and figuratively.
All right, I'm Angus the Mad Cow with guests. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.
Bye.